Related models and extensions. The Peter Principle is part of a set of laws of the same type, of a more or less humorous style, which describe the corporate world with a certain cynicism and whose scientific rigor is not its biggest concern. However, some of them point out the challenging realities with which most organizations must effectively cope. Parkinson's Law. Among these, in particular there is Parkinson's Law, 1955, from the British historian Cyril Northcote Parkinson, 1909 to 1993, which states that the work is always spread out in order to fill the time available to the person in charge of the work. By extension, we can imagine that all available resources for our project are used. Whether they are time, money, manpower, etc., there are two consequences underpin this law. Increase of subordinates. If an employee fails to complete a project, he only has two options. He can either unload a portion of the work by giving it to someone who could become a potential rival, or he can request the support of his subordinates. In most cases, the second option is chosen, firstly to protect his position and secondly to increase his importance. It should be noted that he will ensure he has several subordinates, so as to share each task. That way, since none of them are able to perform the whole task, no one will become a potential rival. Increase of workload. Whether working with equals or subordinates, the fact is that when there are several people working, the workload increases. It often takes as much time to coordinate the task as it does to do the work. As there is almost always someone in the team who has trouble delegating and takes on more responsibility, the work will rectify itself in the end to match what one person could have produced alone. Ultimately, to produce the same work, as only one person would have produced, it takes a whole team dedicated to it, and additional time was spent coordinating all of these people. The Dilbert Principle. We will also mention the Dilbert Principle, derived from an eponymous comic strip by Scott Adams, American cartoonist, born in 1957. According to him, the incompetent employees are immediately promoted and become managers, even if they have never shown any special skills. This principle is even more radical than the Peter Principle, since it assumes that we consciously entrust management functions to incompetent employees so that they cannot cause any damage. This, of course, assumes that management is always useless. Similarly, we can cite the popular saying that those who can, do, those who can't, teach, although we cannot call them models as such, because they are not scientific. These principles show some empirical resistance to the theoretical performance of economic models. Should we give up on these models, the limits of which we know in reality, and consider granting promotions at random?